Friends, welcome back. We'll discuss the 16th quality, self-control, conqueror of the senses, or Vijita Sadguna. A true Vaishnava is self-controlled. He does not become a slave to anger, greed, lust, pride, or uncontrolled speech and behavior. Self-control means mastery over one's impulses through higher intelligence and spiritual discipline. The uncontrolled mind pushes a person toward temporary pleasures without considering consequences. Self-control protects both character and destiny. In law, many crimes and disputes arise from lack of restraint. Anger becomes violence, greed becomes corruption, lust becomes exploitation, ego becomes abuse of power. Civilization survives only when human impulses are guided by ethics and discipline. Spirituality teaches that real freedom is not doing whatever the mind demands. Real freedom is gaining mastery over the mind itself. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada demonstrates extraordinary self-control throughout his life. He maintains strict discipline in eating, sleeping, speech, study, worship, and daily spiritual practices. Even while traveling constantly across the world in advanced age, he remains focused on chanting, translating scriptures, and guiding devotees. Prabhupada emphasized regulative principles such as freedom from intoxication, no illicit relationships, gambling, and unnecessary violence because he understood that uncontrolled habits weaken both spiritual and social life. His self-control was not dry repression, it was higher engagement in Krishna's service. A controlled life created clarity, dignity, and spiritual power. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have a profound example of Raghunath Das Goswami. After joining Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Goswami adopted an extremely disciplined and controlled lifestyle. Despite previously growing up amidst enormous luxury and sensual comfort, he reduced his eating, sleeping, and material dependence to the bare minimum while remaining deeply absorbed in chanting and remembrance of Krishna. Importantly, Mahaprabhu did not praise artificial repression. He appreciated genuine absorption in devotion that naturally weakened material impulses. Raghunath's life demonstrates that higher spiritual taste enables real self-control. One who becomes spiritually satisfied becomes less controlled by lower cravings. Srimad Bhagavatam also discusses Jad Bharat, who exemplifies extraordinary self-control and detachment. Although externally appearing ordinary or even foolish, internally he remained deeply self-realized and unaffected by praise, insult, comfort, or hardship. He refused to become entangled again in material illusion after learning from his previous attachments. Bhagavatam repeatedly teaches us that uncontrolled senses bind the soul, while disciplined consciousness leads towards liberation. Court case legal parallel. A legal reflection of self-control appears in judicial ethics, contempt, restraint principles, and professional conduct standards. Judges are expected to maintain emotional restraint, impartiality, and disciplined conduct, even in highly provocative situations. Lawyers are also bound by ethical responsibilities requiring control over speech, conduct, and professional behavior. Without self-control, legal authority becomes dangerous and arbitrary. Similarly, criminal law itself exists largely because society recognizes the destructive consequences of uncontrolled impulses. Law externally restrains harmful behavior. Spirituality internally purifies the source of that behavior. Law and spiritual connection. A self-controlled lawyer cannot easily be manipulated by greed or anger. A self-controlled judge preserves fairness and dignity. A self-controlled spiritualist becomes trustworthy and peaceful. Lack of restraint creates suffering for both individual and society. Law disciplines external conduct through rules and accountability. Spirituality disciplines internal consciousness through devotion and self-mastery. Together they create responsible civilization. Conclusion: the 16th Vaishnava quality, self-control, reflects true strength. Raghunath Das Goswami showed that spiritual absorption can conquer even powerful material temptations. Jad Bharat demonstrated inner freedom from external influence and distraction. Prabhupada thought that disciplined living creates clarity, dignity, and devotion. This is where law and spirituality unite: freedom through discipline, power through restraint, and peace through mastery over mind and senses. Thank you so much.